Hello everybody, you're watching another episode of Winston Walks. Today we're walking in the west end of Toronto. I am actually that's Islington subway station here. So I'm at Islington and Bloor, and I wanted to take a nice walk down here. And we're also wanted to actually talk about, this will go on the real estate topic, but also something kind of more, right? I think a lot of people don't necessarily quite have a clear understanding of, which is the concept of, I guess, amortization, right? Because in Canada now, a lot of mortgages are coming up for renewal. So for my friends in the US and other places where they typically have longer mortgage periods, not in Canada. Canada, we typically have 5 years, the common fixed rate renewal mortgage. So by the way, this is Bloor, and this is the Ship Center. Bloor Islington place is what they call it now. They renovated it, but it's a nice place. But with amortization, mortgages. So we typically have 5-year mortgages, fixed rate mortgages, and then you go to your bank, your financial institution, and then you renew. You settle on a new term, and then the prevailing rate at the time will be what you're going to be paying. So they still amortize it over 25 years, but your term for the mortgage is typically 5 years. So basically, think about it. You're going to renew in 5 year. If you're going to pay your mortgage down in 25 years, then you're going to renew it 5 times if you choose the 5-year mortgage, right? So I know there's a little confusion with other countries. They have different methods. But that's how we do it here in Canada. Now, so the problem being is that with this is Meridian, by the way. That's a credit union down here, a large one. In Ontario, they are starting to make inroads. I know in the Western Canada, credit unions are very popular. Not as much so in the eastern part, anyways. Here, right? So that's Meridian. But in terms of with mortgages, so like I mentioned, during the pandemic, when rates were super low, people were buying as much house as they could, taking on large mortgages, condominiums, etc. So, and they take 5-year terms, like I mentioned. Most of the time, that's what your term would be. There is a 10-year term, but the rate doesn't make sense. It actually jumps the rate. So when you're looking at it from a schedule, you'll most likely take the 5-year term. So now being 2025 and the next year 2026, so pandemic was 2020 to 2021, a lot of people took those new mortgages on, right? Took on a lot of debt, right? Because again, these properties are extremely expensive. We're talking in some cases, close to $1 million and above. One thing that a lot of people, they're getting their renewals, and now the renewals are suddenly a lot higher, right? So when it used to be I saw 1.5%, 2%, now you're getting 4%, maybe 4.5%, and depending on obviously inflation situation. Recently, those inflation reports, folks, they're not good. Never mind the Trump tariffs. The Trump tariffs, you could argue, are a one-time shock. But personally, I think he's trying to talk down the economy a bit so he can get his interest rate cuts and his lower oil prices. And then what he'll do down the line is he'll cut taxes, stimulate, call for lower rates, and then you'll have probably a higher longer term fixed rate, because your mortgage is based on a long-term bond. So, but anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. But anyways, the point is that people are renewing. They're renewing at much higher levels now, right? Sorry, but this is still Bloor Street, but they have some nice shops down here. They really renovated this place nice, especially after the pandemic. Um, so you got to remember that, so mortgages are renewing, and then payments are going up now, right? And a lot of people are getting sticker shock because they realize that, wow, I took on a lot of mortgage, and then my payments are going to skyrocket now because the rates are, quite frankly, the rates are normalizing. If you look at historical rates, folks, we're probably most likely not heading down to the 1-2% unless they decide to shut it down again. And even then, I think they realize that experiment didn't work. But so getting to the more, the meat of kind of what my discussion would be is that, folks, a lot of the solutions the government's been giving, bankers give, is that you could extend your amortization. And I know that's something that they're trying to promote to even like the first-time home buyers. But folks, before you make that big commitment, I am telling you, please do an amortization schedule, okay? What I mean by that is go into any software, okay? Even on the banks, they'll have it. The mortgage calculators do an amortization schedule, okay? So basically what it is you put down how much you're actually borrowing. So let's say $500 to $1 million. I apologize, I can't do it here because I'm walking around. But then put in the interest rate, at least that you have right now. The amortization schedule is going to be 25 years, right? And then it'll ask you for your term, and then how frequent your payments are going to be. And then what it does is get an amortization schedule which shows you your payments when you print it out, okay? And I used to actually do this as a banker too, because I wanted to, show my clients, what they're getting themselves into, right? So look at the payments, and then you'll see what the interest is, the component is, and then you'll see what the principal is, and then it'll show you what the balance left over is, right? So it's kind of like a table across the board, and it'll do that for the whole period. It's a long schedule, and it looks ugly, but I don't want you to kind of get scared off by that, because it's important. Because the point is that if you think about it, just by the numbers, okay, just by pure math, the larger the mortgage you take, okay, and the longer you amortize your payments across, okay, the less the payments that you're paying early on, it's purely almost all interest. So, people used to say, like, I used to hear the argument of, why rent? You can just get a mortgage, and then you can, why pay your landlord's mortgage, right? Which is fine, I get it, right? But when you look at it, okay, not including all the, it's like that argument, you could take the fact that add in property taxes, maintenance costs, all these different things, it doesn't even come close, right? Because if you added those costs in and you put an equalization of your rent, you can't afford to buy anything, at least in Toronto, okay? You can't even come close. But the point is that your payments are not even hitting, it's all interest. So you basically are a tenant to the bank, all right, or financial institution, whatever it is, right? So when you think about it, a great solution of our government right now, former finance minister, was that just stretch out your amortization when you go to the institution. Just ask them to do that, right? Be flexible. The problem is that when you do that, okay, so let's say you've lowered your amortization to, I don't know, 15 years, right? Or 12, whatever, right? And then you stretch it out again, okay? Basically what you've done then is your payments now, again, are going to be, calculated back to, majority interest being paid to the bank. So you basically become a tenant again to the bank, right? A lot of people don't think about that, right? They just do it blindly, and they don't understand. And then later on, when they see their mortgage statements, they wonder why their mortgage isn't going down. even though you've been making all these payments, right? Property taxes go up. You know, no doubt, if we head into an inflation spike, then rates are going to go up again, right? And you're going to have even a bigger problem, right? So that's why, folks, like, I like, these condos are nice, right? I get it, right? And we all need to live in a place, but just understand the math around what we're buying, or what you are buying, and then also the logic behind it, right? So sometimes when people rent, it actually does make sense, because you could theoretically you could take the rent, you could rent, and then whatever else you would invest, would have paid in your not even just your mortgage, but your your housing costs, your housing total cost, which includes property taxes and all that other stuff, right? Then you could actually just invested it into the S&P 500 ETF, and then gotten a return that way. And you know what? I mean, this way, if you think about it, once your savings, if you put that in like a TFSA, or in the States, I think it's called a Roth IRA, then what you can do is you can eventually, when that grows, you can use that portion to help with the down payment. And then this way you can afford, the house. You can still obviously get a mortgage, but it won't be such a situation where you're almost paying nothing to your principal for the first like 5 to 10 years, right? So that's a big thing. I think a lot of people are not really getting here. It's very nice down here. Not the downtown core at all. Nice little change here, but I want to thank you folks as well for folks who've been subscribing. I appreciate it. I know I bring up some concerts, which I enjoy, and I'm glad that people enjoy it as well. It's those are fun, and I don't know, some people have been kind of criticizing it, but I do the best I can in terms of like, I can't obviously get up too close to the artist, because I can't anyways. But no, I'm glad you enjoy it. It's fun. But anyways, my name is Winston. I take walks. I am based in Toronto here, and I walk to keep my health up, and there's a subway as well. And so I'm gonna keep these bite-sized, but if you have any questions on it as well, let me know. But if you are thinking about buying, just keep that in mind. Do the math as well, because I know people are right now. Inflation is tough. It's not going away, and I know that people are. I know they have this Buy Canadian thing, and that's increasing costs, right? Folks, just be cautious, right? Be conservative with your finances. It's not going to get easier. But anyways, if you are thinking about moving here, well, this is I've lived around my life, so asking questions. If you are planning to travel here, beautiful city, and then if you just enjoy the content, I hope you get something positive out of it. That's all I ask. Thanks for walking with me, and I'll see you in the next walk. Bye-bye.